Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. With Season 4, I know a lot of people were expecting to see some kind of weapon adjustments. Some kind of tuning update take place that would maybe buff some weapons, nerf some others, and just in general shake things up a bit. But so far there has not been any kind of tuning for Season 4. However, we did of course get some brand new weapons with Season 4, and recently some other loadouts have been brought into the meta discussions, if you will. So today we're breaking down the best loadouts to use here in Season 4 of Warzone. So if you enjoy the video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, we are on the road to 500,000 subscribers. Each and every day we are covering the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, leaks, you name it. So if you are interested in that stuff, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. Also, today is the last day of the month that code WhosImmortal will get you 30% off your G Fuel order. So if you want to grab anything there, from a new tub to a shaker or anything else, now is the best time to do so. Anyways, as always with our loadout videos, the perks, the equipment, all that stuff is the same all around. So we're just going to go over that once in the first class, that way we're not just repeating it over and over and over again. And also, these setups are specifically built just for Warzone. I do actually already have a separate video for Season 4 multiplayer classes on the channel. If you do want to check that out, it'll be in the description below and also on screen at the end of the video. But for now, getting into the first class, this one features the Kilo 141 and also the HDR sniper. However, as far as the secondary goes, between the HDR here and the various others that we have in this video, you can actually swap them in and out and they'll pretty much be fine with any primary that we've got today. But in this case, the Kilo is a primary that I've been messing around with a lot recently because it's actually really good. I would say it's one of the more underrated rifles that we've got in the game, but it is actually very consistent in pretty much every single category. Once you do get some attachments on it, the recoil is great, the damage at all ranges is pretty good, it doesn't feel too slow or too heavy, it's all around just about everything you'd want in an assault rifle. So on the Kilo, we've got the monolithic suppressor. You'll be hearing a lot of that one today, just a heads up. Then we've got the Prowler barrel to extend the range and increase the control, the Commando foregrip for some recoil stabilization, the 60 round mags to help with those squad engagements and just cleaning up kills, and finally the VOK 3x optic, which does actually seem to help with the recoil stabilization as well. Plus it does give you some better visibility at longer ranges, which is never a bad thing. Then, as I said, I do use the HDR as a secondary here, so obviously I am using overkill in this case, but you could also just grab a second loadout and grab a class that has the HDR as a primary, and then get these two together as well if you'd rather do that. But either way, here I've got the monolithic suppressor again, the Pro barrel for better range, the tac laser for better stability and also an increased ADS speed, the variable zoom scope, and also the Stalker Scout stock for better mobility as well. Now, obviously, I would only be sniping in those extremely long-range fights, whereas the Kilo is meant for pretty much everything else. And this setup is definitely geared towards maybe a bit more of a relaxed playstyle that favors positioning over just all-out aggression. Then, as far as the remainder of the class goes, as mentioned, this is what I use on all of my loadouts, every single one of them. So here I've got EOD, Overkill, and Amped as my perks, but I do have a dedicated class that has EOD, Ghost, and Amped that I choose when I get my second loadout. That way I can keep both of my primary weapons and use Ghost as well to stay off the radar. Then I've got C4 and the heartbeat sensor on there per usual. Those are great for getting info on the enemy's whereabouts and also for countering vehicles and or campers. Now, loadout number 2 today is all about the brand new Season 4 DLC weapons. The CR56 AMAX, aka the Galil, and also the Fennec, aka the Vector. Now, these two both have their pros, and although they might not be the number 1 and number 2 weapons in the game, I definitely think they can find a spot in the meta when you play to their strengths. So, the AMAX is definitely a rifle that I think is best in those medium range fights. Long range, it is going to struggle a bit more because of the recoil, but in those medium range engagements, it is an absolute beast. Then for the Fennec, this one pretty much needs to be exclusively used in CQC fights. Its range is certainly lacking, to say the least. However, when you use this as a secondary for pushing buildings, or even when that final circle is forcing players together, it is going to be really, really good. The high fire rate here is actually kind of ideal because even though the damage is not anything too crazy, when an enemy is getting hit that many times that quickly, they are going to go into sort of a panic mode, and that is going to give you the upper hand in the engagement. So on the AMAX here, I've got the suppressor that, of course, is monolithic, the Zodiac barrel for better range, the tac laser for stability. However, the VOK 3x optic could be a nice alternative to that. Then I would recommend either the Commando foregrip or the Merc foregrip, depending on how comfortable you are with the recoil control. And finally, the 45 round mags. Then on the Fennec, this is actually the same as my multiplayer class, and I've got the Deadfall barrel, which is basically just like the monolithic integral suppressor. Then I've got the Merc foregrip, the 40 round drums, which is honestly still too small. However, unfortunately, it is the biggest option that we've got. Then I've got sleight of hand, since you are reloading pretty often, and also no stock for some mobility. Again, the Vector can also be used alongside the Kilo, or really any of the other primaries we've got today too, because this thing is basically built to be a secondary for Warzone, since it is pretty much exclusively good in those CQC fights. Now, loadout number 3 focuses on the M4A1 and also the MP7, another two weapons that are very consistent, very strong, and easily some of the best in the game. Now, we all know about the M4A1 at this point, right? It's one of the best rifles and honestly best weapons in the entire game. It is still just as good here in Season 4, so it easily makes it onto the list. Then the MP7 is one of the best SMGs to use in more engagements than just CQC. Its range is actually really good, all things considered, and it's decent when it comes to the damage and the control too. So on the M4A1, I've got everybody's favorite suppressor, the M16 Grenadier barrel for range and control, the Commando foregrip, the 60 round mags, and the classic stippled grip tape, because those other attachments really are not doing you any favors when it comes to mobility. So you gotta have a little something in there to help with that. Then for the MP7, I rock the monolithic suppressor, the recon barrel, the tac laser, the 60 round mags, and also the stippy grippy as well. And you will notice there is no grip here because honestly, the MP7's recoil is super easy to learn. It is basically straight vertical, so you can counter that very, very easily and use that usual grip attachment spot elsewhere. Then getting into loadout number 4, this one is probably the number 1 loadout in the entire game. And well, it has been pretty much ever since Warzone came out. And of course, what we're talking about here is the Grau 5.56 and the MP5. Both of these weapons are the absolute best in their class, and when paired together, this is the ultimate sweat setup. You know, this is the class that all the pros use, the class that all the record holders use. If you want to slay out, this is the loadout that you want to be using. So on the Grau, this is our go-to setup that we've been using for a while. It's got the monolithic suppressor, the Archangel barrel, the tac laser, the Commando foregrip, and also these 60 round mags. Then the MP5 setup consists of the monolithic integral suppressor. Trust me, you gotta be using this over the regular monolithic. This one is definitely way better. Then we've got the Merc foregrip, the 45 round mags, the stippy grippy, and either the collapsible stock or sleight of hand. Either one of those is going to work just fine, and as I said, this is easily the number 1 loadout in all of Warzone. However, there is one more loadout that I wanted to feature today, because mainly I wanted to throw in a weapon here that I find to be criminally underrated. And that, of course, is the Bruin Mark 9. This is an LMG that feels very similar to the Kilo, honestly, when it comes down to damage, mobility, and also range. However, I do feel like it's got some better control, and no one ever uses it because, by nature, it is an LMG. Honestly, you can pair the Bruin with any of the aforementioned secondaries, and that's going to be a setup that works just fine. But when it comes down to the Bruin itself, I've got the
monolithic suppressor.
Thanks, Google. The Horizon barrel for better range, the Commando foregrip, the 60 round mags, which make this thing extremely agile, and also the no stock option. However, you could also run the VOK 3x optic instead of no stock, and it will be a bit better for some of those longer range fights. All up to you there though. Either way, the Bruin is super underrated, and while it might be an unpopular opinion, I think it is actually one of the best weapons in the entire game. Anyways, with all of that being said, those are the best loadouts to use here in Season 4 of Warzone, and that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, or if you just found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, and you want to stay up to date with the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, leaks, and everything in between, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know whenever I upload a new video. As I mentioned in the intro, from right now until Tuesday morning, my G Fuel discount code WhosImmortal will actually get you 30% off most things on the site. So if you want to grab a new tub, shaker, or starter pack, now is the best time to do so. But once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.